Hey Doobs, how we doing today? Welcome to another fantastic weekly edition of the Doobisode series where we just catch up, hang out, and talk about current events, current gaming news, and have a special theme of the week. And yeah, I wish I would have done this sooner. Today, we are honoring BLM, Black Lives Matter. I wish I would have done this sooner, but it just kind of came to me thinking of what I could do next for the episode, and I'm like, this is perfect, and I am all in supporting everyone. Voices still need to be heard. They're going to need to be heard for a long time, but that's why I'm just doing this episode to highlight some great video game characters of African descent, and there's plenty of people in the industry of culture and of different races. We really need to highlight these people. I'm not getting to too many crazies, too much crazy in-depth, Netflix documentary series info here, but I'm going to name drop, just really talk about some characters and and get some gaming news. We did get a huge ball drop by Microsoft to really kick off the next gen, and then, of course, we'll start off with the movie of the week, and as always, Doobs, this episode is brought to you by Arizona RX Energy. Got 100% of your vitamin deal, 100% of your vitamin C. I almost said DLC. 100% of your vitamin C. Just not an energy drink, an herbal tonic. We're gonna kick it off by taking a huge swig here. But I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for joining with me on this special honoring episode. There's just been so many games to play. We've had Marvel's Avengers, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster. We've been trying to get through Captain Tsubasa, and I finally got my Destroy All Humans DNA Collector's Editions. Then we have one more THQ game that I finally got that just came out. Hey Emilio, thank you so much for joining with me on the Black Lives Matter episode here. Just going to get over some of the gaming news. And then later I will be playing Kingdom of Amalur Re-Reckoning. This was a great RPG that just came out at just the wrong time on the 360 PS3 era. I think this came out right around a Final Fantasy release, but yeah, THQ Nordic really just brought back a lot of their IPs. Of course, we played SpongeBob Rehydrated, Battle for Bikini Bottom. We just did check out Destroy All Humans remake a little bit, and now we have Kingdoms of Amalur. I think I'm most excited to check out Kingdoms of Amalur. I played that a little bit, but I'm really just excited to just delve in and really sit down with it with enhanced graphics and all that. But yeah, let's just start kicking things off. I want to get better about just getting right to the content, talk about the weekly. But yeah, so I always like to start off the weekly Doobisode with the movie of the week. Sometimes you just gotta sit down, take a break, and get your little hands all rested up for the next game. This is the Black Lives Matter episode. So I know I kind of talk about a lot of maybe Netflix movies. I do watch a lot of, regular movies. It's just in this day and age right now, we're all kind of isolated at home and nothing's really out in the theater. But we do honor movies, new and old, and this is gonna be somewhat of a newer movie. This movie, I believe, came out earlier this year or even late last year. But since this is the BLM episode, and of course we have to honor the late Chadwick Boseman, what a hard hit that was. It came out of nowhere. I wasn't even sure that Chadwick was really ill, but he really pushed through, of course, to play his Black Panther role. A couple of other small-time movies like Message to the King and other things like that. But yeah, this is one of his other movies that they really did kind of portray him in, and they advertised this movie. But yeah, the movie of this week is The Five Bloods. This is a Netflix original movie, a Spike Lee film, and I wasn't really sure what to think about this movie at first. I thought it was maybe more documentary style, and there definitely is some real life history interwoven with this movie. I really like movies because you kind of learn about culture and time and eras and really just history in general. And I was really surprised by this film. They really advertised Chadwick Boseman as being a huge part of this movie, and he is. But really, it's about these 4 other Vietnam War vets that kind of have to go back to their location of finding a huge stash of gold, and it becomes a huge trek of... just real quick disclosure, by the way, we're not playing the game Rhyme. We are just featuring music. I just plug in the video game that we're featuring music to in the weekly Doobisodes, and we have the whimsical music of Rhyme playing in the background. But anyway, back to movie of the week here. Da 5 Bloods is a very exciting, edge-of-your-seat action tale that just features really prominent African-American actors, black actors that you don't regularly know. They really did use Chadwick Boseman to kind of maybe get people to see this movie, but I love watching a movie with actors and characters that I'm not really familiar with, and it really solidifies your experience in the movie. And man, there is some great acting, a very amazing dialogue. I don't want to, monologue. I don't really want to give too much away about the movie, but man, one actor in particularly just blew me away in this movie. Chadwick does a great job as well. The story is moving and really kind of gives you some insight about African Americans and how they really helped build this country. I mean, they put a lot of the work and the labor into building this country, not only metaphorically but physically. I mean, just the work and the soldiers that were in Nam, and I'm sure all the other wars, and I'm sure this has really happened a lot. I'm not too much of a war history guy. I'm trying to get better, but this movie really does shed some light on what it's like being just African American, especially with the relationship to Vietnam soldiers and the Vietnamese in general, and kind of there's just a lot of hate there, and I'm glad that this movie was made to shed some light on that, to open up and just to kind of understand relationships better. But really, I hope that someday we all I'm a peaceful guy. I grew up with a very diverse group of friends and a very diverse neighborhood for the most part, but I've always been very open arms, and I just hope that we can all just understand each other better. And I think understanding is the first step to repiecing a strong, solid bond relationship together. I know I'm kind of going off the deep end a little bit, but the 5 Bloods just kind of again shed some light on history aspects of just where we've come from, why we're fighting, and the real catch here is these Vietnam soldiers are out to find a bunch of gold bricks that they left behind that they were supposed to pick up during the Vietnam debacle going on there, and it really just turns, of course, there's the characters just get intense, the story strings along, and really just shows some aspects of different strong themes of family and friendship. And so it's just really nice to get a movie where you don't really know the actors. You're getting a nice slice of a taste of culture, and just something different than just seeing, man, I've been playing Marvel's Avengers, and it's just such a predominantly white casted game. But I know they kind of fixed that with Kamala Khan and Elastigirl and kind of her story, and anyone can be an Avenger kind of deal. But really, it's just a nice break from just such whitewashed video games. And I'm also playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and I love that you can create your own character and really create a different experience. Create your character is such a great asset in video games, especially like the Mass Effect series, and where you can really just make your own hero, and they can be any race, and it really doesn't matter within the story, because the story that's still being told is still going to be told regardless of your race. And it's kind of nice that I guess when you're playing Skyrim and those really heavy-hearted RPGs, your race really does kind of come into play with certain aspects in the gameplay. But I'm just talking on a pure cosmetic level, where it doesn't really matter what you look like necessarily, and you can still play your journey, and every character in the game accepts who you are, and you're the hero, you're the chosen one that pieces it all together. Whether you're white or black or some crazy multicolored person, I'm getting off the deep end here a little bit, but yeah, Da 5 Bloods, great movie. I was really surprised my girlfriend actually turned this on, and it's funny how we discover things that we don't think we'd normally be interested in. I'm just not really a big history guy, but you know, when a movie presents a great history featured film and it kind of makes it you know, pleasing to a moviegoer, you know, something with story and production value. Like me, I'm not trying to sound bougie or snotty, but that's just kind of how it is with me. It's hard to keep my attention because of my ADD. But yeah, Da 5 Bloods is a super strong film with super strong themes. And if you're looking to really expand your cultural, you know, African American knowledge and respect and honor, definitely check out Da 5 Bloods, and especially honoring the late Chadwick Boseman. Man, my heart goes out to him and his loved ones, and it's such a hard time when we really need these people to really help push the boundaries of movies, and not only movies but any art and storytelling, and just have more of a prominence there and not just so put in the background. And actually this whole Doobisode was inspired by a tweet that John Boyega set out, that the characters in the recent Star Wars trilogy, you know, characters like Rose and he portrayed Finn, they really just got pushed to the side in the last film when they really built up a great, especially in the first movie. I'd say The Force Awakens is definitely the strongest of the films. They really set up Poe Dameron and Finn and maybe his journey, and then Captain Phantasma. I mean, I'd assume it sounded like maybe she had some color going on there. I guess that she kind of turned out to be white, but you know, that's besides the point. But I just feel like they dropped a lot of these prominent stories that they should have told, and Star Wars and Disney as a whole really dropped the ball with the Star Wars movies, not only in terms of story and content and where it was ultimately going. I mean, spoiler alert, I love the Palpatine bit, but they really just dropped the ball with its side characters. And I hope I thought Disney was being better about this, and you know, they really made some splashes with Princess and the Frog, which I actually really enjoyed and just watched. I know that was a movie from a while ago, and again, it's an animation and kind of a you know, more of a with a black focus on a classic story. But they're getting better. I want them to get better, but they really dropped the ball. Come on, Disney, you're supposed to be you know, the happiest place on earth, and the happiest place on earth should have everyone involved regardless of who you are. So come on, get on your shit. But yeah, dudes, don't want to spend too much time. Da 5 Bloods is a great movie. Action, fast pace. It kind of gets a little wonky towards the end, but just do it for the one watch and have a good time with it, because it is a real good time. I wanted to give a standing ovation to a certain particular character in this movie who just did a great job portraying PTSD in a real way with unfiltered language, and just a lot of kind of, you know, hate and old kind of just how war brings it out of you, and it's just ugly, but it needs to be said, and it's a hard fix. You know, I'm not personally a war vet or a Marine or anything myself, but I do see this a lot in media, and we just got to somehow get out of this vicious cycle of war and drugs and just the vicious cycle that we have here. So yeah, that's the movie of the week, guys. I don't want to go too much more. So yeah, I like to start off with the movie week, but we're just going to take a real quick break, go over some gaming news, and then we'll go over our predominantly African-American black video game characters that I just want to highlight a little bit for this Doobisode. But yeah, we had a huge ball drop from Microsoft, and by ball drop I mean it made my balls drop, because we are officially here in next gen. Please give the video a like, share, follow, subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I gotta make sure to just plug that really quick. And if you guys do want to check me out later, we will be playing Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning right after this video, and I really do want to give my thoughts on Mortal Shell, my final thoughts coming up. But yeah, just a quick little bit for the future, what we got going on. Make sure to say hi in the comments if you're here stopping by, would love to chat with you. Love to know if there's a predominantly black movie you want to highlight or you want to put in the comments, and we can all chat about it. It's a great time. So, but yeah, so let's get back to Microsoft finally dipping their toes in the water. I think Sony and Microsoft have really been awaiting what the other is going to do. Of course, we had some game showcases. We got some news about generally when the consoles are coming out. I think we all kind of knew it's going to be this October, November, December sweet spot. But we there was some leaks about 2 days ago about the Xbox One Series S, the smaller all-digital version of the Xbox One Series X, going to be a discounted console that's just all digital, with still somewhat higher specs, but not quite as banging as, of course, the big brother of the next gen. But yeah, so once that leaked out, Microsoft just let it all out. And we are officially getting the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X November 10th. That is the first date. Yeah, what's up, man? Thanks for, yep. Yeah, definitely check out Five Bloods. But hey, guys, thanks for saying hi in the comments here. But yes, we are officially getting the Xbox Series S and X November 10th. The first real official date we have got for the start of next gen, and that kind of sounds like when the PS5 is supposedly going to be released November 13th or 14th, and then a week in Japan, and then a week later, November 20th. It's kind of funny how Sony was really talking about more of a global release, but we could be seeing a little bit of that with the PS5. Being released a week in between countries and regions here, but still right around. It looks like Xbox though is getting the jump on it, and they are having the Xbox Series S at $299.99, $300, 1440p, 120 FPS resolution. Looks like it's coming with 512 gigabytes of RAM. So I guess I'm kind of scratching my head there that they're not going to be giving just give us the full terabytes, because it's the all digital version and games are going to be like 100 gigabytes, bare minimum for some of these. So it looks like you'll have to probably spend a little bit extra on extra hard drive space, but I think they're really just trying to push that $300 price point. I mean, we have ray tracing in this fucking thing. There's ray tracing in this $300 console. That alone is a spec that high-end PCs get at the very bare minimum $300. Not even three. I mean, even $400 or $500 if you want ray tracing. So this is the Series S model, and then it does kind of look like a grill. That's just the only way that these Microsoft is able to handle the real challenge about next generation gaming was just keeping the damn system cooled off. Here we have the big grill, the big hamburger patty on top of the console, and then for the Xbox Series X, it's literally just a tower with a huge fan sticking out the end. And I guess PlayStation 5 has kind of figured out their own thing for keeping the system cool, but yeah, so that's what's going on. And then the Xbox Series X model will be releasing the same day as the S. Apparently, you can pre-order both. And that's going to be releasing at $499.99 to get the disc version of the Series X. But we have a date. I mean, and they're also going to be doing some crazy financing scheme where you can pay $25 or $35 a month respectively for the Series S and the Series X. So they already thought about, we're announcing this information so late, we're still going to give people a option to pay this off monthly, since we kind of couldn't really announce what we were doing till very late in the game. And man, I really appreciate Microsoft for giving us this option. It's really consumer friendly. That's kind of been a big discussion going into this next generation, is consumer-friendly decisions. And I'd say Microsoft is probably the most consumer-friendly out there. I mean, Sony's trying to, hold their cards close to their chest, really play their exclusivity deals. Nintendo is just off doing its own Nintendo things, with their own games. And God, they did announce the triple All-Stars bundle for Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Odyssey, and that digitally is going to have a limited release. I mean, what the hell, Nintendo? A limited digital release from November to March? Come on, man. Come on. But anyway, we're talking about the Xbox here, and this is just a great deal. I mean, they're gonna have the financing, so if you can't pay it off right away, they are gonna do a credit check, I guess, on this. So depending on what your credit is looking like, you may or may not be able to sign up for the financing option, but it's gonna be coming bundled with Ultimate Game Pass. I mean, right off the bat, you're gonna be having first-party games, and then first-party and third-party games upscaled for the Xbox Series X and X, S and X, BDSM for next gen. So you're already going to be right out of the box able to just have all these games, and then, but wait, there's more. You're also going to be able to play these games on your PC if you're out and about. I mean, they're just gonna have some crazy connectivity. I think what a lot of people are saying is, yes, this is gonna hurt them at the start. Maybe this really cheap price point, not really having crazy exclusives right at launch, but you're gonna be able to play the classics. You'll be able to play some newer games. They'll have some games at launch there, but then you're gonna be able to play them on your PC. If you're just on the road, and that, which is kind of funny, which you don't really necessarily need to buy the console to access these games, because you can just play them on your PC. But Microsoft is just playing this road where, hey, you can play your game anywhere you damn well please, and I'm all for that. I mean, I think Sony's kind of getting there. You still have to have the console to play your games on PC, I believe, but it looks like they're porting their first-party titles to PC. Of course, we got Death Stranding on PC. We had Horizon go to PC. Not Last of Us or Uncharted, though. I think that's maybe just a Naughty Dog thing. But it sounds like Sony is going to be porting more of their first-party exclusive games for after a year after the release. I think Final Fantasy VII is coming out on PC at some point. So we'll be getting more of that. But yeah, it's just crazy that, we're getting this grill November 10th at $300. You can get next gen for $300 with ray tracing, with a no interest all access financing deal, which is just really cool. I think this is just a very smart move on Microsoft's end, and it's exciting. I personally am going to be going for the PlayStation. You know, this channel is primarily a PlayStation channel, but we do discuss everything that deserves to be talked about, and Microsoft is absolutely doing a win here and doing a solid. Just coming out and saying, you know what, guys, this is the prices for our consoles. Buy them if you want. Don't buy them if you want. It's all good here. It seems like Microsoft, has been very appreciative and honorable with Sony, and even congratulating Sony. I remember back when God of War 2018 came out, Phil Spencer was like, oh yeah, congratulations on the release of God of War. Good job, guys. You're really pushing the boundaries, and I respect that. I mean, I love Phil Spencer. I think he's a cool guy. I think he carries himself really well. The CEO or the head of the games department of Microsoft. But he's just a cool guy, and he really just wants people to play their games, and they're coming out. I mean, we're having stuff like Grounded, that really cool game, Outer Wilds game. Just there's some stuff on the back burner. Even if you're not going to be able to play these games right at the launch of the Xbox Series S or X, you'll get them in a small window after. It'll be there, and then you're going to be able to play all the games you missed out on while you're waiting for those games, like maybe like Red Dead. It seems we're getting Grand Theft Auto and Skyrim upscaled again until we get the real juicy stuff like Halo Infinite's been pushed back to 2021. And it sounds like we're not going to get Halo Infinite in 2022 on the Xbox One X this generation. Who's going to wait 2 years for a game on this generation? I'm not really seeing the reasoning there, but I guess they got a plan. I guess the plan is there. Yep. So yeah, Meals, I really hope that PS5 comes out for you on your birthday. Make sure to pre-order. By the way, just a quick heads up. It sounds like Sony is getting ready to get their pre-orders out. So if you do want this thing, I know originally they were talking they were going to be releasing like 9 to 10 million units to really help with the shortage right off the bat. But it sounds like it's going to kind of reverse. It sounds like we are going to get a shortage of PS5. So make sure you check out this channel, like, share, follow it. If you follow it, I'll let you guys know as soon as I know when we can pre-order these PS5s. So go to your local GameStop, Walmart, Target, whatever. Just go somewhere and see if you can pre-order in September. And you can pre-order the Xbox Series X September 22nd. So they've already announced the pre-orders. If you want to pre-order the Series X or the Series XS, you can pre-order them September 22nd. Yeah, to get that 4K upstreaming, 4K scaling, all that good stuff. So yeah, September 22nd, if you want the Xbox console, you can do it. I think a lot of people are going to kind of hold off for the PS5, but it's probably going to be sometime this month for that, for the PS5. So yeah, that's enough talk about next gen news. I did want to just mention a couple of games that one for sure is coming out. One is kind of was released on a Japanese site as kind of get ready or maybe a pre-order thing. But yeah, I really want to play Ninja Gaiden for you Doobs live one of these times. I think Ninja Gaiden Sigma, the first one, is absolutely still my favorite. But apparently we're getting a Ninja Gaiden trilogy possibly releasing on PS4 in this generation. It looks like this generation anyway. But just wanted to get you all excited in case you're Ninja Gaiden fans. It sounds like there's a possibility we might get a Ninja Gaiden Sigma or Razor's Edge trilogy on the PS4, physically and digitally, maybe just digitally. We've had a lot of digital-only games currently, like Samurai Jack, Battle Through Time, and Mortal Shell were recently released digitally. They are getting physical copies, but I couldn't wait to play them. I had to play them now. But those will be coming next month as well. But yeah, and then we're getting a Lords of the Fallen 2. What a surprise is there. I'm a huge fan of Souls-like games, and we're getting a Lords of the Fallen 2. Lords of the Fallen was a very legit Souls-like RPG that came out a couple of years ago now. It's been free on the PS4 store, and it just generally sells for like $4 or $5 on the store. So if you're looking for another Souls-like experience, Lords of the Fallen, I'd say, is up there. Definitely, for me, better than Code Vein, but that was kind of an interesting mix. But if you can, definitely check out Mortal Shell if you're looking for another Souls experience until we get Elden Ring, whenever the hell they're going to say anything about that. Or Digimon Survive. I'm always going to talk about Digimon Survive whenever I'm thinking about upcoming releases. Man, they have got to do something about that, Bandai Namco. I'm going to write you a letter about that game. But also about Elden Ring, because I'm really sure that it's dealing with COVID and the Rona that's really holding up some of these game releases. But just a couple of games to be on the lookout for, a couple of games I'm really excited for. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for some upcoming game releases I'm excited for. So yeah, let's just feature some African descent characters in video games. This is kind of recent and not so recent. Some of these characters I just really mean a lot to me because I've played them in their stories, and I think each character kind of has its own flavor that I just want to highlight and talk about. And if you know any of these guys or have any African American characters, black characters that you absolutely have had a good time with, think they should deserve their own game if they're not in their own damn game already. But I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hard to find a lot of them. I mean, a lot of these characters, I'm gonna say, I'm a huge gaming nerd. I'm a gaming fan. I think stories in video games are very important and very important for the medium as a whole. And I think that BLM should also not be forgotten in this medium. I think Black Lives Matter should be even more distress in video games, because it's the highest earning, most money making, multi-billionaire industry. Video gaming really is the biggest industry at its heart, just in terms of sales and hype, right next to when Avengers was was at its thing. But yeah, I mean, we've had games that just smash sales records more than any other medium in any other industry, even the movie industry, the car industry, the space industry, fuck, I don't know, you name it. But video games is really prominent, and that's just a great way for not only black video game characters, but black voice actors to get work, black video game programmers to get work, and to really just love and live out their medium and their passion. And that's what this channel is all about, really. At the end of the day, it's about spreading the passion. It's about sharing, honoring, and giving credit where credit is due. And this industry would not be what it is today without some great black African American descent people that have just really helped this industry shine. And you know, whatever people prefer, I'm not really sure if black or African American, you know, whatever prefer, but of descent, and just some fucking variety here, and to honor them in a way that can't be forgotten. So let's just get into it here. Of course, my first character that I've connected with more than almost any character in any video game, and really made me sit down and look and say, like, wow, that was an experience. I felt like this was way more than a video game. I'm talking about Lee Everett from The Walking Dead Season 1. This game came out in 2010 from the late Telltale Games. God, I don't even know what Telltale. I think they've just kind of outsourced a lot of their dudes to Skybound games, and kind of they're doing some stuff, maybe making a Wolf Among Us behind the scenes. But Lee Everett, voiced by the incredibly powerfully voiced Dave Fennoy, who has done some other work in Telltale games, most notably for me, the Minecraft story mode. He had an awesome character there. But this was an important character because this is a story-driven choice narrative experience where you get to make your own decisions, and you really get to craft your own Lee. I mean, Lee does have a base personality. He's not a bad guy, of course. The fun thing about Walking Dead is taking these characters and throwing them to zombies or walkers and kind of seeing how they react. But you can really form your own Lee while still having that really great backstory of his family and where he comes from and what he did before, you know, the zombie outbreak. And then you get to also play father with him, with one of the greatest duos in all of gaming history. Yeah, Lee Everett and Clementine. And Lee, Dave Fennoy, he's been featured in pretty much almost every season going forward, in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to give any crazy spoilers here, but I really felt like you just connected with Lee in a different way. Given that this was my first like real choice-driven game that felt really real in a meaningful way. In the Telltale experience of Walking Dead Season 1, which I still think is the best, by the way. And a lot of that is because of this Lee character, in the way he kind of carries himself, and the way you develop with him, and the way you make choices with Lee. It's just such a moving experience from start to finish. Very moving experience with how you decide you want to interact with other characters, and yeah, and his, you know, I come to think about it, his race does kind of play a little bit in some situations, in some dialogue options and stuff like that. So it's cool that they see Lee for who he is, and I think that's a huge important aspect in video games, and just noticing African Americans as a whole. Just notice them for who they are, what they are, and to honor them for their history and their experience, and the hardship that they're ancestors had to go through to get where they even are today, and we are far from where we need to get to a perfect world today. But I just think that's just kind of an interesting side note. I think we really have to notice people. I was listening to a Michelle Obama podcast, and she just kind of talked about how she, even being the first lady to fucking Barack Obama, the first black president, she felt like she wasn't even noticed standing in line for ice cream. And I just think that we have to notice these characters, notice these people, and really just not be so ignorant to the facts and ignorant to things in general. So yeah, I just think that Lee Everett, he's to me one of the foremost characters in any gaming, not only because he is black or of descent, but I just think he's an amazing game character. I'm actually really glad that he's African American, so that I can highlight him, and he's not just another white douchebag with a gun on the cover of a game. There's so many of those, of just a white dude with a gun on the game case. And this was a black man holding an axe with a small girl next to him, who's also, I guess, also slightly of mixed descent a little bit. And speaking of mixed descent, I do want to give a huge shout out. I don't know if any of you played The Suffering or The Suffering 2, Ties That Bind, but Torque is also a believably mixed hero as well, and his wife is African American, and he has 2 African American children. And of course the whole story there is whether he really murdered his family or not. But I really got to give a huge shout out to Torque, who also is a very hard character with a misunderstood past. And I really do recommend, if you can, check out The Suffering on PS2 or Xbox from back in the day. It's a great story. It's very horror driven, kind of very scary in a lot of ways. But yeah, I always just love a good horror tale. And The Walking Dead here, I wouldn't say it's a very horrific tale. There's definitely scenes of intense violence and gore, as the ESRB would put it. But it's really just about Lee and his journey to somewhat of a redemption story. I mean, really, Lee kind of had some issues before the outbreak, and you really kind of get to know him more and more and more as the journey goes along. And I think that's such a great storytelling. And Dave Fennoy. Dave Fennoy has one of the best voices, much like T.C. Carson, who voiced the original Kratos in God of War 1 through 3, and I believe he did Ascension and Ghost of Sparta and all the spin-offs. And of course, I gotta give a huge honorable mention to Chris Judge, the new Kratos in God of War 2018. Chris Judge, boy, you know who I'm talking about there, boy. But yeah, just so many great people that just come to mind when and Chris Judge is like Asian African or something like that. He's got some interesting mixed tapes going on there as well. So yeah, Dave Fennoy and Lee Everett portraying Lee Everett in Walking Dead Season 1. If you want to have a great story with great character, with not just such a whitewash asshole leading hero, play that game. It's amazing, and finish it till the very end. It's very good stuff. But yeah, so that's going on with Lee Everett. Let's just keep it going along here. And so my next pick is probably the most important in my opinion. This game got a lot of flack. And there's only one developer who could really pull this game off without getting into too much hot water, but instead they got some hot coffee. And of course, I'm talking about CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I love Grand Theft Auto. Its campaign. I'm not a huge multiplayer guy. I know that Grand Theft Auto's campaign or multiplayer keeps a lot of the players playing the game, but I play Grand Theft Auto for the amazingly, maybe somewhat underappreciated story and dialogue. I don't think it's super underappreciated. I think a lot of people know that it has great dialogue. And man, the radio stations, I almost play the game just to listen to the radio when I do. The music, the setting, and I mean just the overall high production value of Grand Theft Auto. But what's great about Grand Theft Auto is that it has some really real commentary about culture and business and companies, especially, and they just really ran with that. It almost feels like an episode of Family Guy for Grand Theft Auto 5. They just ran with that shit with Life Invader and really just kind of taking a stab at Mark Zuckerberg and just a lot of things. And of course we get Franklin, and he's part of the gang for Grand Theft Auto 5. But CJ is really what started a huge movement for black video game characters and having something real to say about the state of the world. And because it does kind of take place, San Andreas is like a fictional, New York, LA, all kind of mesh into one, where the story and the, a lot of the action scenes go way over the top, but it's got real things to say about police, in economics, and you can hear this in pretty much all newer Grand Theft Auto titles. I mean, in Grand Theft Auto 4, Niko Bellic of also kind of a different cultural raciality there, which I love. You want to go bowling, Bellic? Sorry, I had to say that. Man, the guy who always called you to go bowling. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, CJ, he's also, kind of a melodramatic, somewhat, not really one-noted character, but he's kind of just planted in the universe around him and listening to the side characters like his buddy and his gang, and then, of course, the corrupt policeman portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson in San Andreas. And there's just really great African-American black representation here within the game. It's very nice, so not whitewashed at all. I mean, most of the characters in this game are of descent, and but it gives you a real kind of side commentary on how it is growing up being black and African American, and kind of living in not the greatest neighborhood and doing what you have to get by and to survive. And that's kind of the whole story here with CJ and San Andreas, working your way to the top. And that's kind of the same thing what we see with Franklin in Grand Theft Auto 5, and Niko Bellic for that matter. Although Niko Bellic's motive is kind of driven by his need for revenge on a couple people, but he Grand Theft Auto, you get to try and live the life. You do more than just shoot people and get revenge. You really grow up and hang out with these guys and kind of do the things they really want to do. Just given the things, it's still a video game at heart, but it's just great that we get to kind of hang out with these characters, and you get to make CJ as buff or skinny or as whatever he is. You get to make him whatever you want to be. But I really just wanted to highlight Grand Theft Auto because it has great commentary. If you really, when you're traveling to a destination, the characters kind of talk around a little bit, and I just love the dialogue here. This was like the first one that really kind of brought upon great dialogue when getting around to places, and now we see that in any Rockstar game. Yeah, Rockstar. I'm talking about Rockstar North. In their dialogue, and we've seen this in Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto and in Bully a little bit as well. I really hope we get a Bully too. But yeah, CJ was just kind of my next pick. He just obviously pushing things forward, and you can still absolutely play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to this day and have a great time, minus maybe a couple super hard side missions. Yeah, CJ, all you had to do was get on the damn train. That's that classic line to failing that mission. But yeah, CJ really kicked it off, and man, this was back in 2005, I want to say 2004, something like that. But yeah, I really want to just feature kind of some characters throughout the generations, and there's a bunch. I mean, I'm just gonna think of honorable mentions as we go here. But speaking back to 1998 when Resident Evil 2 came out, I think Marvin was actually a really great and short-lived character, and then they really, of course, with the remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, and in Resident Evil 3 remake, they give him his light a little bit and connect the story there a little bit. But you know, we wouldn't have Leon and Claire saving the day at the end of the day without Marvin and helping out, and just being a really cool, very cool character, especially in the remake a little bit. Just the way he looks and his betrayal and his just awesomeness. But yeah, so let's just move on here. CJ is really good. Go get some hot coffee if you're feeling down. And yeah, this game had got an M rating, and then it actually got an adult-only rating. They had to pull the game from shelves. It got a huge, and it got sued, and man, the media was pissed. They just ran with this stuff. And of course, I'm also talking about, you know, incidents like Columbine, and it's easy for politicians to blame video games for violence. We hear that a lot. Especially when Columbine was a thing, they said, oh, and they played Grand Theft Auto, and they played violent video games. And I'm not going to be ignorant and say that there's not an influence there, but it's not the direct cause of why people do what they do. I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I've always kind of just wanted to mention that a little bit. Just because here on the Dupe Radical Gaming channel, you know, we walk all aspects of life and just kind of talk about it here. It's somewhat of a podcasty feel. But yes, so CJ, awesome character. Man, really we just grew up with him. Really just formed Grand Theft Auto. And the writing, I mean, it's the writing with these characters. The characters make the dialogue make the game that much better. So I really just think that this game deserves one playthrough if you've got a minute. And so yeah, let's talk about a more recent developer, Naughty Dog, who is probably one of the you know, more recently prominently showing of different cultures and different races in video games, especially with The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. And huge honorable mention of Sam and Henry from Last of Us 1 and that whole cool dynamic duo, and sad tale there, no spoilers. But yeah, I wanted to talk about a character who actually starred in her own game a little bit, along with Chloe Fraser. Yeah, I'm talking about Nadine Ross. What a badass. I needed to get a badass character on here. Nadine, I feel like, deserves so much light, so much more screen time. She was just kind of there a little bit in Uncharted 4, and she was the bad guy's lackey. I can't think of his name right now, but she wasn't really necessarily the bad guy. She was just kind of, you know, working in it for her own interest, as most of all the characters in Uncharted do. They're just kind of all working together, or working together until they work for themselves. But yeah, Nadine Ross is just also a female African American pro-antagonist, anti-hero, if you will, that just had one of the coolest scenes in Uncharted 4, chasing down Nathan Drake and tag teaming, taking on Nathan Drake and Sam Drake at the same time. I think that's his name is Sam Drake. Troy Baker, of course. God, those guys love working together with each other. But yeah, Nadine, and then she kind of had her light in Uncharted 4, and then she co-starred with Chloe in Uncharted Lost Legacy, and we kind of peel back a lot of layers from her, and she's just kind of a cool person that likes to take pictures and enjoy the little things in life, and curious about Chloe's life, and really opens up, and I really wish I looked up the voice actor for Nadine here, but I'm just so glad that Naughty Dog took the time to be like, we have this great character that we really need to feature more prominently, and what better way than to give her co-starring in Hero Game, which is originally going to be just a slapstick $20 DLC, but they Naughty Dog said, screw it, we really need to make this a full game. And Chloe, also a female protagonist that really deserves, just not only racial, disparities here, but sex disparities. We really need more, female protagonists, and I think we've gotten that. We've gotten that a lot with Horizon and Control, and especially with create your own character scenarios as well. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I think video games and developers usually they're the outcasts. They're the ones who've been through the shit and know kind of what needs to be featured and prominent, except for EA. But really, EA is kind of important at the end of the day, because they're just modeling real life people into their sports games, but that's pretty much the most prominent African American black descent people that we see in video games, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s. They were all in sports games because it's just kind of the way it is with the world in sports and people of culture. We're unified by what we do, and sports is a big one, and then they just throw in video games. But I digress here on that front. But Nadine is actually a very cool-tempered character who can fight. She's awesome, and it really does make me want to replay Lost Legacy. I gave Lost Legacy one playthrough, but I think I really do need to focus on Nadine's character more next time I play, because she really does have a lot of cool things to say. I kind of remember tidbits, and especially the amazing Wombo Combo tag team fight at the end with her and Chloe taking down, man, I feel bad for that bad guy, for the antagonist in that game. But it's cool just to see that there's multiple sides to characters, and they created their own game for someone kind of not to really necessarily think of the antagonist or even the anti-hero, but just their own character and their own person. It's not so good guy, bad guy. Life is gray, as I've learned from Cobra Kai season 2 that I just watched. Great show, by the way. Honorable mention there. Honorary movie of the week with Cobra Kai. As well. So yeah, Nadine Ross, Naughty Dog is great at featuring, many different walks of life, and we got that super hard in Uncharted, or The Last of Us Part 2. But that's a story for another time. We talked about that. I have some more thoughts on that game, but I'll be doing a retrospect on that at some point. But yeah, so let's talk about. So this character is kind of interesting because we originally saw this character in 1997, I believe, is when this game came out. 97, 98, something like that. And then we just got the remake of the first quarter of this game. And I'm not really sure how this character was really portrayed back then. But it's great to see that, even the Japanese really do feature African-American black characters in their video games. And I'm talking about Barrett. Yeah, Barrett. What a deep story this character had. And I'm not really sure, again, I really wish I could say more about his original appearance in the original game. But the story with him and his daughter, the one-liners and the dialogue here, which just really made the game connect more fluently for me. It was kind of hard just watching, of course, Tifa and Aerith and Cloud, which is kind of interesting the way that Square Enix kind of animates and draws their characters. They're white, but they're also have a little bit of an Asian touch in there as well, with features in the eyes and in the face and everything like that. And usually when they're going full-blown white character, they kind of make him the douchebag, fat, whatever, just really blowing up there. But yeah, Barrett had a great voice actor. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but Barrett was really there to not only mix up the gameplay with some range stuff and just a different style of play, but really to kind of give him his own story and to feature him as one of the leaders of the rebellion for the Mako reactors, and just to really kind of feature a very nice character that's part of this resistance group, and is also such a badass. I mean, he's got a gun for an arm. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. But Barrett was a lot of fun to get to know and hang out with. He's a big softy at heart, and I like that we're seeing not only more prominence in video games with these characters, but that they're just not so one-sided. They got multiple sides. We get to really know them like we're watching a movie in a lot of cases here. And Barrett, I mean, was animated beautifully, wonderfully, and I really can't wait to see where his story goes in future installments, because it sounds like we're getting more episodes or more parts to this Final Fantasy tale. And this is a great character because he was from back in the day, and they just ran with it even more and brought him back way stronger now. Barrett's just a great character, a father figure, and he really helps out on the team. When you want to mix up the gameplay, he's got a lot of functions, and it's just great that he's of another racial descent here, and featured predominantly as a black character. Okay, and this last one here, I just got one more. I know there's so many other characters. I mentioned Marvin and some voice actors like T.C. Carson, original Kratos, and Chris Judge. And huge shout out to Phil Lamar. He has voiced countless voices in video games, in not only video games but TV and anime. Most recently, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. He was the voice of Samurai Jack. He's the voice of Vamp in Metal Gear Solid, which is interesting because Vamp is a white character, and it is cool that we do have some black characters voicing white characters, and they really just kind of mix it up there and kind of, blur the line a little bit of what just sounds good, and giving a character a voice, because characters really are portrayed through their voice and how they sound and how they carry themselves. So Phil Lamar has just been on fire a lot. So I'm a huge voice actor guy, and Phil Lamar comes up in a lot of credits. If you notice, he's kind of like Nolan North a little bit. Like what's this guy is going to show up in next? But yeah, dudes, I have to give my last huge shout out here to Jax. Yeah, Jax, and this is just a huge love letter to all of the predominantly black African-American descent featured characters in fighting video games. I mean, we have Eddie Gordo in Tekken, we have Jax here, and there's usually just there's usually in fighting games. That's why I like fighting games, because they really do kind of feature different, not only races but cultures, like Nightwolf in Mortal Kombat as well. And to really play off not only their who they are as a character, but their culture really plays into their fighting style. And Jax is a really good story, another father figure as well. We get to meet his daughter Jackie Briggs, and his relationship with Sonya. He's kind of he originally was debuted in Mortal Kombat 2. So after the first one, there wasn't too much racial disparity there, except for just Asian with I wouldn't even think they were truly Asian with Liu Kang, Kung Lao. They kind of just became who they were. But yeah, I think they work. So Raiden was as well, at least in the sound effects. I'm not really sure how to go about the sound effects with the wada wada wah, but they're very memorable today. But I just love that they give these characters stories. And man, I especially just love Tekken's cinematics. Just watching you know, when you beat the story and kind of seeing their backstory. And Eddie Gordo had a really cool one. Of course, he's a dancer and he breakdances in his fighting styles, and I just love that who they are kind of translates to how their fighting style is, and we learn so much more about them through how they're animated. And Jack Spriggs is also one of those characters. He's just big, beefy, but again, a big softy when you get to know him a little bit. But yeah, Doobs, there is so many characters. We could go the list on and on, but I really did just want to have a BLM type episode. I wish I would have done this sooner, but this is just my kind of piece of love to the world, where I talk about things and I portray them in video games. And it's just such a beautiful industry medium. I'm always going to kind of just mention that, where there's just so many things we can talk about, so much we can learn from video games. There's a lot we can learn, and boy, I'm gonna do a lot of learning here soon. We have Tony Hawk's, I still gotta finish Marvel's Avengers, Captain Tsubasa, man, a great anime sports game. It's like FIFA and just makes into a great episode of anime. Finished Mortal Shell, so I do want to give my final thoughts on that before I totally completely forget the experience. Play a little bit Fall Guys. Yeah, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, I'm a huge fighting game fan there, and I'd love to check out that game a little bit for you. But yes, in a little bit we are going to go live and unbox the collector's edition for Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning, an RPG from 2011 that I think really does need to be tested out. I played this a little bit back in the day, but I'm really excited to kind of play this almost Fable-like experience. Of course, PlayStation guys didn't get Fable, so this is kind of about as close as it gets. But yeah, THQ Nordic really zapped my wallet these past couple months with SpongeBob, the Destroy All Humans, and now yeah, Re-Reckoning. I'm glad that the box is a little bit smaller. I'm kind of running out of space here, and yeah, I think that's gonna really do it for today's Doobisode, guys. Thank you so much for joining with me and talking about gaming news. The Xbox Series X is exciting. November 10th is the first day we're going to be getting that with along the Series S, and I think you can pre-order both if you want for $299.99 and $499.99 respectively. So a $200 difference there. That's kind of a big deal, especially when people are saving up. They're having this amazing financing program. You're going to be getting the Ultimate Game Pass right away, so you can play so many games from yesteryear upscaled in 4K until we're waiting for games like Halo Infinite and Fable and everything they showed at their showcase not too long ago. So now ball's in Sony's court. The Sony dudes have to do something here. I think we for sure will be getting news and at least some type of pre-order information this month. I think it's just getting a little bit too close. I mean, we're already at September 9th, and these consoles are coming out mid-November. It's 2 months, not even to save a couple bucks for that. And I think to everyone who really has to make decisions on their purchases needs more time to save for these games. So I got to give a huge shout out to Microsoft for finally doing something. It's like a game of chess here between Sony and Microsoft, just really on our edge of our seats, kind of just hungering for information here. But yeah, Doobs, it's been a lot of fun talking about BLM and some of these video game characters, featuring a movie of the week, Defy Bloods. Really good stuff. Huge standing ovation to that movie, and of course a huge honor shout out to the late Chadwick Boseman, who's going to be dearly missed by a lot of people, and I'm myself included there. But yeah, dudes, don't want to take up any more time. If you hang around, please make sure to hit that follow button, like, share, follow if you haven't joined the Doob Radical Gaming community on Facebook or on YouTube. We'll probably be doing some Twitch stuff more soon as well. But yeah, we do video game reviews, bunch of live streams, final thoughts. We do some, I haven't done a retrospect or a Doobie Classic in a while, but there's just so much to play right now. And before we know it, we're going to be playing Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. We're going to be playing Cyberpunk, and hopefully we can squeeze a couple things in between. I still have Daymare 1998 just sitting here, and there's going to be a couple of other things, including the next episode of the Dark Anthology series. So we had Man of Medan, and then Little Hope comes out on October 3rd, I think on Halloween, actually. So we'll play that. Remothered also looks really good. Another horror tale as well. I'm a huge horror guy. But yeah, we got to get to Daymare. But yeah, dudes, thank you so much for watching this on today's Doobisode here. We do these weeklies, usually on Wednesdays when I can, but I really do want to get a schedule going. But thank you so much for joining with me. Please like, share, subscribe if you've liked what you've seen. But as always, we'll be right back.